Here in Nigeria, President Tinubu has been visiting Benue State to condole with the people there after the deadly attacks in Yelwata town, which led to the deaths of more than 150 people. The visit comes amid growing concerns about the security situation in Nigeria's north-central region. Mr. Tinubu is assessing the recurring crisis firsthand, and he's been meeting with all the stakeholders, including traditional rulers, political, religious and community leaders, as well as youth groups. He's also been holding a town hall meeting and is visiting the site of the latest attack. Ahead of his arrival, Mr. Tinubu dispatched the Secretary to the Government, the Inspector General of Police and the National Security Advisor, as well as the heads of the intelligence agencies to Benue State. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Arise political editor and director of news, Sumner Sambo. Good to see you, Sumner.
Thank you so much, Charles.
Just tell us more about why President Tinubu has been visiting Benue State and what he's been doing there.
Well, the latest update is that President Tinubu is working with the state authorities to set up a high-level committee that would, have traditional rulers, included former governors and all of that. And this high-powered committee will have presidential backing to meet and find lasting solutions. And he says he's willing to also host the committee right here in Abuja so that he will be part of the discussions to see what exactly could be done from the political angle, from the military angle, of course, in terms of community engagement. And of course, he's been visiting these victims of the attacks, and he's been urging the governor of the state, he has said earlier, to actually ensure that he works with political rivals to, calm frayed nerves, and saying that, there's nothing that could be achieved within a climate of, discussions that are heated, between political rivals within the governing APC in the state, and of course the opposition. So he's asking for more dialogue, more community engagement, and of course it was a whole, no holds barred conversation as to why that has happened. And of course he was asking his security chiefs why some arrests have not been made. And that's what every Nigerian is asking. Where are those who are perpetrating these, heinous crimes against Nigerians?
Indeed. So this is a significant visit. Do we know how the people of Benue State have been reacting to it? I understand the president, as you said, has been holding various meetings, town halls and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's been a sort of welcome relief that the federal authorities are paying attention as to what's happening.
You couldn't get higher than the president.
Yes, so it just shows that, there's renewed attention. But if we were to go with how things like this happen across the country, once it gets to a week, everything fizzles out and the federal government looks undisturbed and all of that. So if indeed President Tinubu is to be, taken for his words that he will actually pay more attention to it, and then some of the meetings with this committee of elders will be held in Abuja here, and then those who are found wanting, will be dealt with. And then, of course, there was this proposal of a ranch that he said that there's enough land in Benue State, and so if it comes to the issues of having a ranch, ranching should be encouraged. But then, who are the perpetrators? That's what Nigerians are asking. And why are the security services not arresting the perpetrators? Even if it were a communal issue, there should be perpetrators arrested. But then there are three-pronged approach to this. There's community issue, there's the issue of farmer-header clashes, and then, of course, there's the issue of terrorism. So these three issues need to be nipped in the bud.
I find it very interesting that you mentioned that he's talking about ranching. Wasn't that already on the cards? Because I understand the previous governor, Samuel Autumn, had put up a law like that.
Yeah, there was a law, there were forest guards and all of that, livestock guards that he used to call them. Unfortunately, he got caught up in politics when the new government came in, having changed from one political party to another. The former governing party there in the state was PDP with Samuel Autumn. And of course, when the Reverend Father, who is there now, won through the APC, everything just got enmeshed in politics, and they dismantled what had been coupled together, known as the livestock guard. And it got caught up in politics, and of course everyone is paying for it right now. Some of the laws that had been made were dismantled, And so only for the governor and his godfather, who happens to be the secretary to the government of the federation, the federal government, having issues. And President Tinubu ought to have been asking his SGF what exactly is going on. Because you are the biggest political leader from this state. And this state is almost caught up in all these flames. And we don't really seem so much to be happening. But President Tinubu is culpable too, because he's looking for votes for 2027. It's not giving him room to ask the right questions. And some of the security chiefs that have gone there too, Nigerians are asking what exactly are being done. I mean, 200 and something people being killed. When the chief of army staff went there sometime last week, and at about 250 people had been killed. And just after his visit, more than 200 people killed again. And people are asking questions. Yes, I mean, he called the defense chief, the police chief, they're asking where the perpetrators are. We think that people need to be punished if they don't do what they ought to do. Where are the drones to go around? Don't we have helicopters and all of that with night vision capacity to be able to go around? And people are asking the right questions. But it looks like the president is not asking the right questions because his political ambition for 2027 is not allowing him to see clearly. And we are saying that we are just midterm. This is second year, and then we haven't got into the election yet. Think of it, Charles. Will people come out to vote on election day? If on a normal day, peaceful day like this, people are not able to move around peacefully.
Absolutely not.
And so that will lead to voter apathy. And then people will lose faith in the federal government and then, of course, the entire system. So, I mean, those in the hierarchy of the security services need to start asking these questions.
Indeed.
What exactly is going on? And then boots on the ground. If these people are coming on motorcycles, former Chief of Army Staff Buratai had brought in place some bikers within the army who could actually go in at night on bikes and pursue some of these terrorists, headsmen, or whatever they are called. But what happened to it? I mean, after I got a new government, they just got dismantled. So we need to revive some of these things, and people are really angry.
It is very demoralizing, I have to say. And the other thing that struck me, because we had this Reverend Father last night, who's from the Archdiocese of Abuja, but he is from Benue State, is that he seemed to think that the president and a lot of the people don't understand what is actually going on and what the problem is. And that's a big issue, isn't it? I mean, if you don't
that's why the president is actually setting up this committee.
Right.
There's the issue of climate change. Benue has always been attractive to herdsmen, way up to Senegal, up to Guinea and all of that, because it has lush green areas. I mean, that's where you have the river Benue. When it's dry season and people can get, crops, get other things, pasture in other parts of not just the country, other parts of Africa, especially West Africa. People just come into this side and, just bring in their cattle and all of that. So there's no reason why. I mean, let's go to our colonial books. The British had a formula for tackling security within this axis. So, Charles, these are not new problems.
Right.
We have a policing problem. We have a livestock security guard, forest guard problem. And then the British looked at it. If you look at some of the archive books before 1960, they tackled these issues. How come civilian authorities and the military are looking as if these problems are new? These problems are not new. Within the military, these problems were tackled by those in military governments and all of that. So if we don't go back to the archives and find out what the problems are, it will just stay like after a week again. I mean, everybody just sits in Abuja and it's gone. But the Secretary to Government of the Federation, who happens to be the biggest political beneficiary of Mr. Tinubu, comes from that state. And so he needs to be answering some questions to the APC-led federal government as to why his state is being caught up in flames.
Absolutely.
And people are asking questions, they are not getting the right questions. And if we don't get the right questions, this may actually lead to what former President of the Senate, who is also a former retired general, has said. People will lose confidence in the system. And what happens? People take to self-defense. And then, of course, we have an implosion, which may lead to us not even being able to hold elections in 2027 there.
Yeah, that's a worrying thought. Briefly, because we're almost out of time, this story has gone international with the likes of Pope Leo talking about it, as well as the United Nations. I mean, so the world is watching to see what happens next.
Yes, and not just in Benue. There's another one going on in Enugu at the moment. Just yesterday, about 12 persons had been confirmed dead from a community farmer herdsmen clash that started. And then, of course, in Kebbi State, another one yesterday we had. And so people are beginning to wonder, yes, some of those who are in government have said there are political undertones and all of that. And then, of course, we've received briefing at very high-level briefings as editors by the government, telling us what's going on. But a lot of people are saying, we need more action. We need more action. Because if we don't contain this, it makes people lose trust and faith in the state. And once that happens, anarchy. And of course, no government can be able to contain anarchy. If we can't contain little security skirmishes, and then of course terrorist groups coming in, then of course if it implodes into the entire parts of the country, a lot of people will be worried. And then of course the politicians won't be able to harvest the votes that they're expecting in 2027. What is leadership and governance without the people? It's nothing.
That's a good question and a good note on which to end. I hope they're listening. Sumner, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you,
Sumner Sambo is Arise political editor and director of news.